If we don't take care of ourselves, we can't do our best work.
Welcome to Homeopathy Hangout, where today I am just so delighted because after many years of trying, I finally have the immense privilege of introducing you to Carol Boyce.
It's not a thought or an opinion. It is a knowledge that homeopathy can save the world. No doubt it can change the world, but I really believe it can save the world, which is that whole thing about every generation becoming healthier than the one before. Homeopathy is capable of anything in the right circumstance. And therefore, your body, your being, whatever, is capable of any kind of healing if you're in the right set of circumstances.
Any wisdom that you want to give to the younger homeopaths out there, like the next generation of homeopaths?
I suppose all I would say.
Today, we hang out with a tenacious, insightful, and absolutely delightful Carol Boyce. And I feel I can rightfully use those words to describe her because I've just come back from the 3-day Unleashing Homeopathy conference in Bali, where Carol was one of our speakers. I've only ever heard fellow homeopaths speak about Carol with the greatest reverence, so to actually get to meet her in person was truly a gift. Homeopathy owes Carol a huge debt for what she has done worldwide to raise awareness about homeopathy. She is the woman on the ground in India, Iraq, Egypt, and more, literally going in and actually making a difference consistently for decades. Now, that is somebody I bow to and take my hat off to. The persistence, resilience, and absolute tenacity that Carol has had to go through to fight for homeopathy for so many years is to be applauded. To me, she is the epitome of the person I strive to be, someone who is brave and resilient and willing to tough it out, not for the short term, but for decades, not here for the quick fix, but here for the long run to really make a true difference. That is also why I decided to register with Carol's homeopathic organization called HINT, Homeopathy International, because if you're a homeopath that ever gets attacked by skeptics, you want Carol on your side, fighting in your corner. HINT is an organization that's not afraid to speak up, and they work tirelessly to support and educate homeopaths. To learn more about HINT or to sign up, visit hint.org.uk. Carol is also one of the producers of the documentary Introducing Homeopathy, the film, which I'm sure many of you have seen by now. If you haven't, check out introducinghomeopathy.com. And Carol also created a documentary which you can find free of charge on YouTube. It is called Making a Difference, Homeopathy Around the World. As many of you will also know, I recently launched the Centre for Homeopathic Education in Australia. It's been running for 30 years in the UK, and Carol has been lecturing there for most of that time. So to get to meet one of our lecturers of the college I'm now running in Australia was also a very special treat. I know you are going to be inspired by this episode, and I hope that we can all take a little bit of Carol with us in our hearts as we forge along to bring homeopathy to the world. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the Homeopathy Hangout podcast, where we discuss all things homeopathy from around the world. And now our mum and your host, Eugenie Kruger.
Hello, homies, and welcome back to Homeopathy Hangout, where today I am just so delighted because after many years of trying, I finally have the immense privilege of introducing you to Carol Boyce. Welcome to the show, Carol.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for pursuing me because I meant to say yes years ago.
Oh, this is so wonderful. Well, we're actually recording this in July, but this episode isn't coming out till September. But the two of us will get to meet in Bali in August, so by the time this out, we would have already met in person. So it's kind of like Back to the Future almost. We're being like very futuristic here. So I was super excited to get to meet you in person. I have to tell you a funny story. I texted Marcus and I said, I finally got Carol on the podcast. What question should I ask her? This is his reply. That's great. Ask her about the milk project in India, taking homeopathy into Iraq during the first Gulf War, and being put in prison in Egypt. So how do we even start? So how's that for an intro? But I actually have a tradition here on the podcast, and that is to ask my guests how they were first introduced to homeopathy. So although I'm dying to hear how you ended up in prison in Egypt, can you please tell our listeners how you were first introduced to homeopathy?
I was at university en route to academia, doing a PhD, blah, blah, the usual stuff. And I I just started spontaneously. Well, not really. My dad always called the doctor quack. So that kind of stuck in my mind. I started looking at alternatives, and I did Alexander technique, and, I walked very straight, all that stuff. And then I was in the library and I saw this book, and I swear to God, you believe me or not, a sunbeam hit the spine of that book. And I thought, oh, what is that book? And it was the history of homeopathy. I started reading it and I just thought, this just makes perfect sense. I love the simplicity of it, the kind of rationale of it. I loved it. Anyway, so then I started, as I do, massive research. So this was in 1980. And then I met somebody on the stairs. I lived in a block. I met someone on the stairs who knew somebody. Said hello. She said, yes, this is what I do. I'm a homeopath. And I was like, no way, you are a homeopath. I need to do classes. She said, there's a woman, Karen Whitney, who's doing classes just down the road on a Tuesday night. So I started attending. I went there for 2 years. And this is in the middle of my PhD and a small baby. I called up the College of Homeopathy and I spoke to the registrar. I mean, this is back in the day. I said, this is June or end of August, 1982. And I said, I need to come and study. And she said, we've finished registrations for this year. I have to apply next year. I said, no, you don't understand. I have to come now. Now, please tell the principal he has to interview me. Well, I'm coming from, academia. So I thought that this place was a similar institution. Of course, this is back in 82 when homeopathy was only just getting going. So it was the College of Homeopathy. It was basically in a basement in Lewisham. I went there. I talked to Robert Davidson, who's the principal. And I said, Robert, I have to study. And he said, what have you been doing? I said, well, I've been going to Karen Whitney's class for 2 years. He said, show up on September the 6th. Pay your fees to Catherine.
Wow.
That was it. So 2 weeks later, I was in an auditorium at Imperial College, University of London, with 110 first year.
Wow.
That was how it was back then. Yeah.
That must have been amazing having that many students in person around you. I mean, it's great that we have online these days, but I can't imagine having that many fellow students around me.
I know, right? Huge. The college was huge. Every year we never had less than 400 students in the college. And I ended up, as soon as I graduated, that was my Indian experience. I went to India straight away, but then I came back and I taught at that college till 96 when I went to America.
Oh my goodness. When we have somebody on the podcast like you with like 50 years experience, it's so tricky because how do we...
Not that old.
No, what's it, 40? How do we... Oh yeah, that makes sense because your daughter is
40 this year.
Your daughter's a year younger than me, so that makes sense. So I'm just wondering, like, how do we squeeze the most in an hour episode? Like, it almost feels like an insult trying to even try to scratch the surface of all the cool things that you've done. But maybe talk to us about India, because that must have been like straight out of college to India. I mean, what was that like? And that was been an ongoing thing because that's where the milk project is that Marcus was talking about, right?
Yes. Subrata Banerjee was head of the college, then the Bengal Allen Medical Institute. And I basically went the first time for a 6-week course doing homeopathy. And of course, if you've been to India, they have a saying, if you throw a stone, you hit a homeopath. It's like Kolkata as it is now. It's just swarming with homeopaths. Every street corner, it's phenomenal. Homeopathic hospitals and clinics. And so we worked in those. I had some amazing experiences, which kind of set the scene for me forever, because we sat in clinics with the, phenomenally experienced homeopaths. And of course, there they do a 6-year course, which is full of rote learning. So they know all the books by heart. Sitting in a clinic, patient comes, they translate what the patient says, and then the clinician goes, Fatak, which is mostly what they use. Fatak, page 258, line 7. That's the symptom. So to be amongst that was just phenomenal. And then we had cases come in which are medically impossible. The healing of an optic nerve so the child can see. I mean, phenomenal. All the paperwork from the hospitals and diagnosis. So I came back from there knowing that homeopathy is capable of anything in the right circumstance. And therefore, your body, your being, whatever, is capable of any kind of healing if you're in the right set of circumstances. And so for me, then all bets are off. Once I started thinking about miasms, the fact that with good homeopathic treatment, every generation becomes healthier than the one before. So therefore, there's no limit to what we could do given a chance, So that put me on this mission. Now I've been on it for, 40 years, just a mission to, let me just qualify that. I have calmed down a lot because when I first really understood this, I wanted to basically stand outside railway stations or tube stations. I was living in London then, like somebody with a pile of socialist worker magazines, harassing the public and saying, you have to know about this stuff. You have to read this pamphlet. I really wanted to do that. But
that was before podcasts. So that's I do.
Before the internet. Kidding me? Literally.
I feel the same. That's why I have this podcast. I feel like the whole world needs to know. Like, how can they not know?
Yeah,
I know.
Exactly.
I know that feeling.
I'm more contained now. I do things in a more measured way, but the passion is still there.
And tell me a little bit about Iraq as well, because why would you even decide to go there in the Gulf? Or was it after the Gulf War? Hey,
it was the first Gulf War. Don't forget. So this is 91, and I belonged to a group called the Gulf Peace Team originally, who was setting up a peace camp in Iraq. So I said, okay, I'll go out there and do that. So I went out there and I worked on this peace camp where we had people. It was incredible. I could talk all day just about that because it was a phenomenal experience. People from all over the world flying in to be in this peace camp to make a statement to stop this war. Obviously, it didn't work. But honestly, elder plowshares, 80-year-old women from America coming, Vietnam vets, people from all over. Anyway, so it was my job to vet them all to make sure, because we had some people who actually were really mentally unwell, and I had to send them home. So we vet them, we make the peace camp, the war came, I had to leave because we got drummed out. And then when the war was over, which I think was not long at all, it was a very quick war, I went back. But when I went back, I took a rucksack full of remedies and books and stuff. And I did the lecture tour in it's like the Baghdad hospital at that time was a bit like Cedar Sinai. It was huge and very well equipped. But the problem is, because of sanctions, they couldn't get spares. So they had all this equipment that was unusable. And the doctors were writing case notes on the back of cigarette packets. It was dire. But they sat in my lectures. I talked to them about homeopathy. I showed them the remedies. One of the biggest responses was from the immunologists, who came and said, I don't want to be using the products that we use, so we need to know how to do it differently.
Wow.
So that was Iraq. Actually, Marcus is wrong. It was in Amman that I got arrested, not Egypt. Egypt was a different story. So I was driving, and the guy with me, a Scottish man dressed in a jalaba, ridiculous, leaned out of the window and started shouting at soldiers, is how this whole thing happened. And, it was a war zone, essentially, because they were prepping for everything. So we got arrested. And since I was in charge of the project, I was the one that ended up in a small stone cell, let me say, in the mountains with, I don't know who he was, but he looked about 15 to me with a submachine gun to make sure I didn't try to escape. And I sat there for a while, and then they took me back to Amman and put me in this room where people would rush in and just stare at you and then rush out. It was all psyop stuff.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you didn't think about things like that. Now it's like on everybody's mind.
I'm sure. Were you teaching them homeopathy in the prison as well?
I wasn't there that long, but they let me go and they let me carry on, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. But the thing in Egypt was actually, I was stopped at immigration and they pulled out all my remedies. And of course, one of them was a little white tube full of powder that said opium on it.
Oh, no.
And that was enough for me to end up getting detained, let me say. But because I had been in Cairo setting up what became the Egyptian Society of Homeopaths and a teaching course there, I'd called the guy who had helped me, and he was a former Minister of Economics. So I called up and said, guess where I am? Guess what's happening? Can you make some phone calls? And he got me out.
Now, you are making a documentary about your life, right? I feel like this needs to be done. And actually, speaking of Egypt, I have interviewed Abdul Hay, who is so lovely. I really hope I can make it to Egypt at one stage and get to meet him. But they credit you for bringing homeopathy to Egypt, and he only had amazing things to say about you. So
that is sweet. He's a lovely guy. Phenomenal. He's perfect in that role.
Oh, I love all the little connections, because when you were just saying about, that ray of light falling on the book, I was thinking about Ian Watson, who said that he was in a bookshop and Ian White's book literally fell on his head. And then also Abdul Hay's wife was the one who drew the cover for Ian Watson's book, The Tao of Homeopathy. So it's like all these little, it's beautiful.
And when we set up the course in Egypt, the first teacher I sent out there was Robin Murphy, because he was also an Egyptologist, so he was mad.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Oh, he's crazy. Was crazy for it. So I said, well, you can be the first, and the second one was Ian Watson.
Oh my gosh!
Out there. So there's so many connections.
Oh. That is beautiful. You did it properly. You're like, well, if I'm going to establish homeopathy here, let's do it right. How amazing that they had those people that it would have set the bar quite high. And you just do projects left, right, and center, because you're also involved with introducing homeopathy, and you also help to set up Hint. And I've just heard that you are starting another project for older female homeopaths so that we don't burn ourselves out. I don't know, am I older as well? Am I in that classification? I burn myself out all the time. I need all the help I can get. So tell us about all of it.
Yeah, I did. It's a pound. I can't say otherwise. It's a pound. I have an idea and I have to do it. So back in the day, I started up. This was when was this? After I came back from Iraq, I was on a mission then to start something bigger, so that it didn't always have to be me that went traveling, but I could create something so other people could do the work as well. So I set up something called Homeopathy for a Change with some other women. We ran that for several years. We had projects everywhere. But that then became the basis of what then became Homeopaths Without Borders, which I then worked with the Dutch group to create, the paperwork and the training for homeopaths going into those kind of situations, because you need a certain mindset. You can't just, well, it depends. I was always on frontline projects, in the depths of everything, but that is my nature. I like to push myself, and that led me to, and it just went on like that. So I sent myself to film school in LA. There's another story. So when was that? 96. I went to LA to do film because I wanted to make documentaries about homeopathy. But in 96, you won't remember, there was no digital camera. You needed the 100 gram just to turn the camera on, basically. And nobody was remotely interested in documentaries at any time, never mind about homeopathy. So I'd left film school at the end of my course, and I got a job on a film because I was, if I say so, quite good at on the course. So they picked me to do this film. And when I read the script, I was in the production office. I read the script and I thought, what am I doing? I'm like, whatever I was, I'm 45 years old. Why am I wasting my time on this kind of slashing movie? So I resigned. 6 months later, I went for another job, and I sat down, and the guy in charge said, you walked off John's project. I was like, yes. He said, let me tell you something. Unless you have your integrity surgically removed, you will never work in this town.
Wow.
So that Hollywood thing, you'll never work again, is really true. So I said, I'm quite attached to my integrity, so I guess I'll go and do something else. So then I ended up at the American University of Complementary Medicine as clinical supervisor in their homeopathy department. So it was mad. I left homeopathy to do film, and I ended up leaving film to go back to homeopathy. So,
but you did a documentary, didn't you? Because I think I remember
I did a few. I made some short films. When was that? 2007.
Can people still access those? Because I'm trying to think if it was when I chatted with Leah or somebody else.
They're on YouTube. So I made a few short films then, and I was taking my camera over and making little short films about things I saw about homeopathy. But in 2011, I gathered together my film because I'd already been in 2009. I went with my daughter to film in Tanzania with Jeremy and the Dar es Salaam Clinic and all of that stuff. And loads of other people were now making short films about their projects. So I put them all together into Making a Difference Homeopathy Around the World, which was premiered at the Joint American Homeopathic Conference in 2011.
Oh.
Kim Aaliyah and Whole Health Now helped with that. But that for me is like the beginning of everything, because my dad was dying at the time. He was on his home straight. And I was living with him, supporting him and stuff. And so he was there the whole time, encouraging me and saying, it's okay, it's all right. You get on with what you're doing. So when it premiered in America, I couldn't go because I was literally at his funeral.
Oh.
So I dedicated that film to him, and I made it really for students and homeopaths because we were being pummeled in the UK. So that was 2011. Yeah. And I got involved in 20 other things as always, but I made that film for the homeopathic community in the UK, really, because their morale was so low. We were getting attacked from every side. They were taking permission for it to be in the NHS. It was a very interesting time. That's all I can say.
So can we still access that movie somewhere, and also that blog? Because
yes, and no, that movie is an hour long and it's on YouTube. I can give you all the links.
Oh, amazing. And the blog that you wrote about that, where would we find that? Because this is the type of stuff I think, like history always repeats itself. And if we can read about these things and, learn from that, then hopefully we can have that foresight. If we start noticing, hey, this feels like it's happened before, then, us that have been in the business but not as long can learn from your experience.
Yeah. And I can't say too much about strategies because who knows where this ends up. But so I'll go on to something else that I'm involved in very heavily right now, which is HINT, Homeopathy International, which I co-founded.
And just tell us a bit about what HINT is as well.
So yes, so HINT is a registration body, like the other registration bodies. And we are out and proud that homeopathy essentially is primary care medicine. And if you go to somewhere like India, you will absolutely know it is primary care medicine. It is not a complementary to anything. In my vision, of course, I'm working for it to be at the center and everything else to be complementary to it, including allopathic medicine, because God knows, sometimes we need them. And as I was saying to you, when I had my recent near-death experience, it's not the first one, but I needed intravenous penicillin. Because by the time I realized I was as sick as I was, it was way beyond anything. I didn't have time. I mean, they told me when they came with the ambulance, which of course I refused because I wasn't going to go to hospital. And why would I? Hadn't taken allopathic medicine for 40 years. This is me to the paramedic. He said, lady, you've got about 5 minutes. Your stats, you've got about 5 minutes. So I said, okay. Of course, then I had to walk down the stairs and across the car park by myself, climb on the gurney. I mean, it's just a ludicrous story, which I could tell you some other time what happened to me. But anyway, so they saved my life. I thank them for saving my life. And then as soon as I came out of the sepsis, crazy, delusional state, I went back to remedies. They told me my liver was shot because of penicillin, because I'd never taken allopathic medicine. So, I used very simple stuff, Carter, chelidonium, mother tincture 3 times a day. It was back to normal in short order, which they could not believe because they'd never seen it happen. And also they did not want to know what I'd done, which to me is all the saddest thing ever, that we can't work together.
Yeah, it really is.
So HINT, we are primary care medicine, no doubt about it. And I'm trying to say it in a way that doesn't suggest that other people are not doing what they should be doing. But we are out and proud. Our mission is to put homeopathy at the center. We support homeopaths' right to practice, patients' right to choose their medicine. And we're not afraid to say any of this. We're not asking homeopaths to put their head in the sand or keep their head below the parapet. We're saying we're going to support you going out there and doing the work you came here to do. Yeah. So I think that's slightly different. We also have one of the other founder members has access to government. So we have our finger on the pulse. We know stuff is happening before it actually happens. Amazing. So, for example, we know now the Advertising Standards Association, which is not a government body, even though they try to pretend they are, is now using AI to track down people who have stuff on their website that contravene the rules, which tells us we know now that they're on a mission, and the first low-hanging fruit they always go for are the homeopaths.
Yeah.
This is why I'm mentioning this now. So we know that. We've won the homeopaths. We've asked them, if you have notifications from the ASA telling you you can't do this or you shouldn't do that, or they're going to take you to trading standards, tell us because we're monitoring it. Even if you're not a member of HINT, tell us because we're monitoring it. And then if you are a member of HINT, we'll get you out of the situation. Represent you in court if we have to, which we've done before for homeopaths.
Wow.
So we're that group that just fearless.
I really love that, because in Australia for many years, homeopaths have been very, very scared to say anything after a homeopath was taken to court here and fined like $100,000 for advertising homeopathic immunization. And I was just so sad. Like, I didn't know any of this because I moved over from New Zealand 9 years ago. And so I arrived here in Australia and I was singing homeopathy loud and proud on every platform that there is. And then very quickly, the associations here like clamped down on me like, shh, you need to be quiet. You can't say anything. And I'm like, I can't do that. I don't know how to do that, because how are we going to tell people about homeopathy if we don't say it loud and proud? But yeah, there is a fine line, right? Because, I mean, homeopathy has been under attack literally for over 200 years, since the day of, inception. So I think it's just one of those things that we have to deal with. But if we have fearless people at the helm like you, charge on, go for it, because we have so much good that we can do in the world. And look, if nothing else, we can't do any worse than the medical profession, which is currently the third leading cause of death in the world. So, it's a topsy-turvy world that we live in. Things are just so, so upside down. And being scared is not going to get us out of this mess. So I love your balls. You have got balls of steel. I like to think
about it.
Yes. I like to think I'm pretty brave, but I tell you, there's no way I'm going into Iraq at any stage. And, I'll go to Calcutta, but I would want to go with like a bunch of other homeopaths and people that can a little bit scared. You are fearless, and that is so inspiring. And to have you at the helm of an organization like HINT is exactly what homeopaths need. I'm a member of HINT as well, by the way. I have been for a couple of years. And I really hope that more of our members get behind what you do, because it's worldwide, right? And that's at the time, absolutely. I wanted to be part of an international organization, which is why I joined HINT. And also because I've been a CHE Pro member for the Center for Homeopathic Education, and you're one of the lecturers there. So I've known, about you for a while. And so I thought HINT sounds like a great organization. And you do loads of webinars as well. I mean, they're not an Australia-friendly time zone. I will put in my complaint about that one. But you do record them as well.
Time zone's a problem.
It is a problem. But tell us a little bit about the types of webinars and things that you do and what else HINT does. And like we just clarified, you take members from right around the world.
Yes, anywhere in the world. And depending on where you are in the world, there are special rates, which is fair. So we make it possible for people in poorer countries, if you like, to still join us if that's a challenge for them. So yeah, you see, it's the same kind of thing. So there we are at HINT, and here comes COVID. And I saw a lot of homeopaths losing their minds. I'm just going to say it. I saw them losing their minds. I went on Facebook and I said, what's going on? We are homeopaths. We treat patients. Patients have symptoms. That's it. You could call it what you like. It's not some new fantastical something or other. They've called it COVID. So what was the sad symptoms? I mean, I actually think if a homeopath had been on the front line in the medical area of COVID, they would have solved the situation a lot quicker.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody's arguing that's a no-brainer, of course.
Yeah, but what I mean is they were calling it an acute respiratory syndrome when actually it was more circulatory, which to me, or apparently anyway, so to me, if you'd have had a homeopath there who could say this is really circulatory, because all the remedies that are coming up are all related to snake remedies, for example, then we would know where the pathology at that time was anyway. So I'm talking to these homeopaths and I'm saying, just put your feet on the ground and do your work. So then I went back to the hint board and I said, why don't we start a meeting once a month where we invite all the homeopaths and they can sound off all their fears, foibles, whatever about COVID, because you can't do it anywhere else. That was what was the first meeting we had 50 people come to it. So I thought, maybe this is a good idea. So then we ran a monthly meeting about COVID for probably a year or so. And then I could see that the situation was changing because we were understanding more COVID. I'm doing this because there's so many unknown, unspeakable. And then it kind of morphed into other problems that we had. And then we had interventions, which then we knew were causing problems. And people needed to talk about it. So long story short, that went on probably for nearly 3 years. And then I said, let's just open it out and let's talk about anything we want to talk about. So every month for literally 5 years in October, we have had this meeting. We never get less than 100 people there now. And that is homeopaths and some students. Homeopaths in the trenches, there's nowhere else that they can just sit and talk about things. So we have a presenter most months who talks about a particular issue. We've had mental illness. We've had, you name it. We've had some amazing presenters. And then we have a discussion about that. And then we have a wider discussion. And then I bring to the table stuff that I know is happening out there in the world of homeopathy. So,
amazing.
Yeah, it used to be, we used to start, we always start at 7:30 UK time. And it used to go on until 10:30. And then I would have to tell people, you have to leave. You have to shut this meeting down. And then the rest of the board said, you know what, let's shut it down at 9:30 because we can see you're going to burn out. So it's a 2-hour meeting full of really interesting people, interesting discussions.
Amazing.
It's free. That's the other thing.
So you don't have to be a hint member. Wow.
Pardon?
So you don't have to be a hint member to come along.
You don't have to be a hint member. You can join and be a part of any organization you want or none. We'd love you to join us, of course. Blah, blah, blah. The more members we have, the easier it is for us to do our work. Yeah, it's free. Come along.
Amazing. And so you can just go to hint.org.uk.
Yes. And then in the top there, it will say events on the top menu. Events.
Yeah.
And then pull that tab down, you can register.
Oh, perfect.
Event interest. And then we'll have your email address and then we can tell you about the next meetings. There's one coming in September and I've forgotten the date and I don't have my diary.
That's okay.
17th, I think, something like that. That's a good one. Controversial. I like controversial.
Okay, amazing.
So yeah, that's it. Join us. Join us for the meetings and see how we do things. Join us if you need a registration organization.
And one that's fearless. Yeah, absolutely.
We'll have your back and we'll not ask you to put your head in the sand. Mind you, that said, you can't be foolish.
Yeah.
There are certain words we're not allowed to use, like cure, even though we are the ones doing the curing. And the ones who are using the word probably wouldn't know how to.
Yeah.
They tried, but I shouldn't talk about that. Anyway, so that's...
You've got a mailing list there as well, so people can sign up to the mailing list if they want to find out what you're up to.
Yeah. The way you do it is go to event interest. Event-interest. So that way you get notification of the meetings and also you get blogs and stuff. And if you want to know what we're up to, you go to news.
I see.
The website, news. And then you can see what we've been talking about recently.
And you've got a research tab there as well. That's great.
Yes, loads and loads of research on there. And we are involved in a research project at the moment. So all the previous recordings are on there, which if you're a HIMP member are free. But if you're not, we'll ask you for a donation to put towards the research. So, yeah, that's that.
Are you allowed to talk about the research?
And that one of the things that we just wrote about is that homeopathy is a rising star. The, futures market, the business, whatever you call those people, the people who write about what businesses are ones to look out for. It's homeopathy, 12 to 15% increase. So,
Well, I've certainly seen that because it was literally 5 weeks ago that I announced that I'm opening the Center for Homeopathic Education in, no, I lie. It was 5 weeks ago that I decided, in conjunction with Marcus Fernandez, that I'm going to open the Center for Homeopathic Education in Australia. And it was only 3 weeks ago that I announced it, and we already have 35 students, which I think is pretty amazing considering, there's not even been any lead up to advertise it or anything where it's like, hey, we're opening, and all these people are going, yep, we want to study with you.
That is phenomenal.
I think that says quite a lot. I mean, I haven't got 100 students yet, and but yeah, it's pretty exciting. And if I just look around, even at the mothers' Facebook groups and things that I'm in, nobody even knew what homeopathy was. And now I'm seeing daily posts coming up of people saying, where do I find a homeopath? I want to learn about homeopathics. Where do I buy a kit? It is unbelievable. There's really such a revolution happening in homeopathy at the moment.
100%. I have to tell you, I was really thrilled to know that you were doing the Australian version. As you know, I teach at the CHE in London and have for years.
Yeah.
So the idea that there's one starting in Australia is brilliant. I can't think of anyone better to start it. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, it's such a pleasure. I would never have aligned with any other school other than CHE. I mean, I just think they have such integrity. They've been running for so long. The lecturers, being practicing homeopaths with so many years experience. Marcus just being such a fabulous person. I mean, I've been a member of CHE Pro since 2019 when they launched, and that's helped me so much in my practice. And so it's just such an honor to be able to bring this to Australia. It's unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Something else I was going to, tell me about your project that you were saying you're doing a project at the moment to help homeopaths not burn out, because that's something that we don't talk about enough.
Oh, so I did a series of 4 for CHE Pro. I don't know if you noticed it, about just practitioner development in its widest sense. And I've been in the game long enough, 40 years, and I'm also old enough. I'm 74 this year. So I am interested in homeopaths lasting. We've had, it's not just we've had a lot of sad deaths, but people retire. They get tired. They don't want to do it anymore. They get health problems. And we can't afford that because we have wastage then at two ends. We have students who train and don't practice, which is a terrible waste. So I did some work with Miranda Castro on that back in the 80s because we were trying to stop the wastage. And now I'm at the other end of this scale, and there's the wastage here as well. So people, leaving homeopathy not because they want to do something else, but because they're not well enough to do it, or, they just feel they need to retire. And then there's all that knowledge that's going wherever they go, and it's not feeding back into the system. So there's also the whole mentoring side, which is something else I'm trying to create. So that was really my motivation. It was funny because when I was at the premiere at a JAHC, whenever it was.
Was it last year in April? Yeah, in April at Reston, Virginia, I think.
In Western Virginia, and we premiered the Introducing Homeopathy full-length 2-hour documentary about homeopathy. I was talking to a lot of older homeopaths, as you do when you're in that category now, and they were all saying, no, I'm retiring. Then they watched the film and they came to me afterwards and said, I'm not retiring. I can't do this. So I felt vindicated in that way. And may I say, that film now, even though it's only really been screened for about 4 solid weeks, either by us or by the Children's Health Defense, has had 500,000 views.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's incredible.
I was so impressed when I saw the Children's Health Defense teaming up with Introducing Homeopathy. I mean, that is an incredible ally to have.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I think
I know it put a lot of people off, though, Eugenie, because some people, they have taken against Robert Kennedy Jr., and so therefore they associate him with Children's Health Defense, and therefore they can't watch our movie. But that is about their own pathologies.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
500,000 people didn't care.
It's so annoying when people can't see the bigger picture. There's some people that just kind of like look, like a tunnel vision. It's like, no, look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, the bigger picture.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Look at the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve here. And, like with aligning with somebody like that, which has such a huge network, you can reach so many more people. And that really is what it's about. I don't know. I don't understand that mentality. It's not how my brain works.
I know. It's sad. It's sad. You can't do politics left and right anymore. There is no.
I just want to make sure, so how do homeopaths who are thinking about retiring, how do they get in touch with you to get part of this program?
So I'm putting this thing together, which basically is based on Aphorism 9, which, if you'll remember from your Organon days, is about Hahnemann really basically saying, if you don't take care of your body, I mean, this is my favorite quote, and it isn't Hahnemann, obviously. If you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? So Hahnemann's version of that is, where is your reason-gifted mind going to operate from if you're not well, if you're not strong, if you're not able to function well? I mean, essentially, that's my interpretation of Aphorism 9. It allows you to express your reason-gifted mind in our world, in the interest of homeopathy. So it's purely selfish always, because I want more homeopaths in the world, because then my world gets better, and my grandchildren's worlds get better. So I am putting this together right now. Putting this together, it is together, but I'm collecting names of people who might be interested. There's no,
It's great. So people can just email you. Should they email you through him?
Yes, email me so this is thrive at any age at proton.me.
Okay, gotcha. So the email address is thriveatanyaage@proton.me.
Yeah.
Okay, we can pop that in the show notes as well. Amazing. So just for the homeopaths to just email you for now, and then you getting that up and going.
Just say I'm interested. Just send me an email saying I'm interested.
And is there like an age range or what sort of people are you looking for?
Initially I thought women over 50, because I thought, well, then, you've put the menopause behind you. But then I thought,
be a bit more sane.
Pardon?
You can be a bit more sane, of sane mind.
Yeah, but I had my menopause at 40. So I'm thinking, I don't know, but 45, you probably should start working on your future physicality. Your fit. It's not just about fitness; it's also your mindset. And also, I'm sorry, guys, but I aimed it at women because we have the biggest, slightly changing now, but the media onslaught, the cultural onslaught of what we are supposed to be as women and who we are supposed to be as older women. And, when we're supposed to start doing our Botox or whatever the hell it is, the pressure is immense, immense. I mean, even I was like, what do I look like? Well, wrinkles and all, but, the vanity never leaves you, does it? There's always that bit, and they hook into that and then tell you, you need to be this or that or the other. And I think it's easy to go down that route, not as homeopaths, because we're smarter than that, but not smartness. What is it? We're more aware than that. We don't follow that lead because we're already swimming against a bigger tide. But it gets you as a woman that, and younger women, there's still a bit of, all this has changed a lot since I was back in my 20s and 30s and, a mad jock. I was, because I love physicality. But then, unless you keep doing it, by the time you get to my age, I mean, I did the research. I was absolutely shocked that once you're 75, no, less than that, in your early 70s, if you have a fall and break a bone, which is infinitely more likely if you haven't taken care of yourself, you have only a 40% chance of still being alive after 1 year.
Wow.
Because it impacts you at so many levels. And if you haven't got that underlying resource, I mean, that's what they told me in the hospital. We never thought you would survive, but because you had this base level of health, you made it through. So that was a big wake-up call to me, not to start doing, because I was already doing. How I got in that situation is a podcast in and of itself. But yeah, so, we have to do this for ourselves.
I am so sad that it just feels like we've lost so many amazing homeopaths the last few years, let's say last 4 or 5 years, that were still so young. I mean, we're talking like late 60s, early 70s, which is so young. I mean, my homeopath's 84, so, and I think if I have a say in it, I always say I'm going to be practicing well into my 80s, if it's up to me. But I can't imagine ever not practicing. Maybe I'll get there one day, but I just can't imagine not practicing.
That is the thing. It's work you can do forever. Elvira in South Africa, she was still practicing when she was 93. like the week of the
Alvia Berry.
Yes.
Oh, did you get to meet her?
No.
Oh, we did a podcast. Somebody did a podcast who knew her in person in South Africa, and she sounds like an incredible
Probably Rebecca.
It was Rebecca, yeah.
Rebecca, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing.
She's in.
I love that you are putting this together and putting this resource out there because it is really important for homeopaths to look after themselves. I mean, I'm sure the men as much as the women probably, but we do burn ourselves out. And I see in Facebook groups of people in the professional homeopathic Facebook groups, or, we'll chat, people doing crazy, like, driving to clients' houses, dropping off remedies, being on call on WhatsApp for their clients 24/7, all that sort of stuff. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster and a recipe to get yourself burned out. This is awful to say, but we need to be walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And we do need to physically look after yourselves. I know it's so good for my mental health and for my physical health and just to clear the mind and to de-stress. But I've just been going and going and going, working and not actually looking after that side of myself. But we have to, as homeopaths, we can't be doing consults for our clients, helping them, but not actually, looking after our own physical, mental, emotional
we
health.
have to walk it.
Yeah.
We have to walk our talk, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, so it's not just about physical exercises or whole other aspects to it. But I'm just going to say to you that we don't do guilt. We don't do guilt. We don't berate ourselves for the things we're not doing. We just start doing them. So we know, because we don't take care of ourselves, we take care of our patient. And then I had a patient tell me this in my first year of practice. And he said, I'm really cross with you. I was like, why? I'm doing my best. In my mind, I'm thinking, why would you do that? And he said, you're not taking care of yourself and working too hard and you're not charging enough. And I was like, wow, seriously? I was a single parent back then and it was hard. And he said, if you don't take care of yourself and keep your own roof on, I won't have a homeopath. And I'm not happy about that. So it was hard to hear, but, it's a very astute observation on his part. And I'm glad he delivered it to me. So we don't take care of ourselves. We can't do our best work.
Absolutely. I love that because you mentioned about mentorship as well. And I mean, if you're in your 70s and 80s and you don't want to do consults, I can understand that. But please do go out there and mentor the rest of us, because I love learning from my homeopath. She's got 50 years of experience, and it's so wonderful getting to, I get like my little mentoring sessions in between my consults. But there's so much knowledge that can be passed on, so much knowledge and so much experience. And, like us younger ones that haven't been doing it as long, just teaching us, so we don't make those same mistakes, or just, what is it that you've learned over the years that have worked and what hasn't? And there's a lot. Yeah. If we can just get all those minds together, please don't disappear off the scene. If you've been doing this for many decades, please come and teach the rest of us.
Exactly. We can't afford to have that happen. We can't. That's just.
Yeah.
I won't allow it. No. So, I've got some ideas about how to sort that as well.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Well, Carol,
I think that's all I needed to say.
Yeah. That's all right. What else can you share with us? Is there any final words that you want to maybe give to the younger homeopaths out there, like the next generation of homeopaths? Any wisdom that you want to pass on?
Wisdom? I suppose all I would say, from the very beginning, I was motivated by the knowledge, and it is a knowledge. It's not a thought or an opinion. It is a knowledge that homeopathy can save the world. No doubt it can change the world, but I really believe it can save the world, which is that whole thing about every generation becoming healthier than the one before. So to all the new homeopaths and the students, and I say this literally to the classes I teach, I say, however hard it gets, get help, but do not leave. Do not leave this course. Because I can tell you it's hard. It's harder than, I did biological anthropology at uni, and that was what my PhD was in. And it's harder than that. Training to be a homeopath is harder than that, to do it properly. So don't leave, get help, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for seeing it through and becoming a homeopath for all the selfish reasons I already said. So yeah, we are changing the world, and eventually we will get our way and save the world. And I'm not doing that from some naive, we're all going to be sitting around in the trees having picnics and never any problems. That's not what we're here on this earth to do. But homeopathy can go a long way. You know, it's green medicine. It's green. It's sustainable. I mean, it's safe, effective, cheap. I mean, what more do you want from a medicine? It's like, come on.
It's unbelievable. You are such a visionary. I love how you are just seeing the bigger picture of all of this. And I can just feel your frustration that not more people are like kind of like getting it. It's really like it's there. Just grasp it. It's there within your reach. Just open your mind and just explore it and give it a go. And
I think that's it, though. We can just relax because people get there eventually. I think different people have different levels of suffering they have to go through before they finally cave in and say, God, let me try that homeopathy. You know, we always get to tried everything else, try homeopathy.
Yeah, we do. Oh, Carol, it was so lovely to hang out with you. I can't wait to hang out with you in Bali. And thank you so much. I think you're going to have a great time over there. Thank you so much for the fun stories as well. And please do write your autobiography. I would love to buy a copy.
Are you serious?
Of course. Who wouldn't want to read these stories? They're amazing. Thank you so much. I'll talk with you very soon.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I'm sorry it took us so long.
You were worth waiting for. All the best. Bye.
Bye.